Joining us now, Suzanne Obenshain, the wife of State Senator and former candidate for Attorney General Mark Obenshain. She is a long-time Virginia Republican conservative political activist in her own right, and she has crisscrossed the state. She's a tireless worker. I've seen her on the stump so many times. I am proud, very proud, to be a fan of Suzanne Obenshain. Ann and I have endorsed her candidacy for National Committee Woman from Virginia, and Ann and I are going to the state convention in Harrisonburg for one reason, and that is to vote our friend Suzanne Obenshain. So we're looking forward to that, and she is joining us now. Suzanne, great to have you with us.
Hey, good morning, John. It's great to be with you, and thanks so much for your endorsement. Yours and Ann's means so much to me, and I'm looking forward to having you and Ann with us in a month. It's a month away.
We're very excited about it, and we've already planned those days off. And Suzanne, I know you for a long time. I've never seen anybody work harder. You're a tireless worker. But, you know, I laugh when some of the people that in my circles say, well, Suzanne Obenshain is part of the establishment. I mean, I just find that I can't even keep a straight face with it. You've been battling the Republican establishment ever since we've met. You've always been on the outside. You've always been fighting for conservative principles. And the fact that you're being labeled as the establishment candidate in the race, I find laughable.
It is interesting. I have been a pro-life, limited government, personal responsibility, and individual liberty conservative for the last 35 years, working in the trenches as a grassroots activist. So it's just a different time in politics right now, and people are labeling people, and I'm just going to continue working as a grassroots activist, making sure that people understand who I am, and that's why I'm crisscrossing Virginia, going to the mass meetings, going to the dinners, taking my message out there, telling people why I'm running, and asking them to come to Harrisonburg to vote for me.
Well, that's now in order to do that, to go to the state convention and vote in this contested race, you have to pre-file as a delegate, and you have to check the box for the state convention. Most of the pre-filings are over. Some of them are still open. I know Virginia Beach is still open. If you're in Virginia Beach, you might want to check that out. Also, a couple others open in the 4th District that I know about. I think everything in the 7th is closed. But if you go to rpv.org, you can check it out right there. You're good to go. So, Suzanne, your opponent, Cynthia Dunbar, very intelligent woman, also a nice lady. Had her on my show the other day. She had a pretty bold proclamation. She said, elect me, National Committee woman from Virginia. And she said, I will personally keep a litmus test on every Republican congressman, all 8 of them in Virginia. And for those that are not voting consistently conservative, what she would consider conservative, she says that she will personally recruit and back primary opponents to what she called Rhino Congress Republicans in Virginia. I guess the first person she'd be targeting would be Barbara Comstock in the 10th District. Is that the role in your mind of what the National Committee woman from Virginia should do, and is that something that you would also do?
Well, I heard that my opponent said that she wanted to vet candidates all over Virginia to see if they would meet her litmus test. And I think that's a terrible precedent. I want to empower conservative grassroots voters all over Virginia. I don't want the Republican National Committee picking our candidates. I want grassroots conservatives picking our own candidates. I want a bottom-up approach. Suggesting that the RNC should be picking candidates across Virginia is quite the opposite. It's the ultimate top-down approach. I've lived in Virginia all my life, but I don't want to substitute my judgment for grassroots voters about who they should nominate. I want to empower them. I don't want the RNC telling them who they should nominate. This is about grassroots, John. You know, I'm a grassroots activist, and we need to let the grassroots people decide who they should be nominating and supporting at the ballot box. And so what happens in 4 years when we elect a new National Committee man and a National Committee woman and there's a moderate running. Do we want a moderate picking our candidates? This is a terrible precedent to set. This is not the role of a national committee woman to be vetting people and applying a litmus test. It's wrong.
Well, look, on the other hand, though, and you have to give your opponent this credit, she basically says, look, the days are over when we're going to elect these Republicans and then they're going to vote for omnibus and crowdnibus and Democrats, whatever. And she said, I'm going to personally find candidates and campaign for them and primary them all. A little bit of a chaotic state, but there's a lot of Republicans in Virginia and across the country, Suzanne, that feel that the leadership of the Republican Party nationally, not state, nationally has betrayed them. That's why we're seeing the rise of Trump and other candidates. Cruz would be in that category as well. So it's certainly a bold plan, but I think what you're saying is you don't believe that's the role of the committee woman.
No, the role of the national committee woman at the RNC is to get the resources back into the communities. And so that's why I'm running. In 2013, I crisscrossed Virginia, and I got to know Virginia really well. And we didn't have the resources we needed to win in Virginia in 2013. Mm-hmm. The RNC chose to send those resources to New Jersey, to Chris Christie. And in 2014, we lost Ed Gillespie's campaign by 17,500 votes. They sent the resources elsewhere because they didn't think Mark Warner was defeatable. I want to go and be a strong advocate and voice, a conservative voice for Virginia, to get the resources into the communities all across Virginia so we can win again.
So let me ask you this, Suzanne Obenshain. If you were to get elected and you went to Washington, what is the first thing in the first meeting that you had with Reince Priebus? What is the first thing you would tell him?
That Virginia matters, and we need to give the communities the resources they need. And to win again in Virginia, we need to get the resources down at the grassroots level. It is a bottom-up approach, and we should not be dictating to voters across the Commonwealth what works. We need the grassroots activists to tell us what they need, and we supply what they need.
So, Suzanne, in 2012, I was in Tampa broadcasting, and our national committee man from Virginia, Morton Blackwell, went bananas when the Romney lawyers descended on Tampa and rather engaging the grassroots, they trampled and peed on them, basically, changing rules so that those that came to support Ron Paul at the time couldn't put their candidate's name into nomination. Now, that rule says a candidate to be nominated, they have to win 8 states. All right? Well, there's only 2 candidates that are going to win 8 states. Kasich won 1, and that's probably it. Now, Republicans are saying they're going to go and change that rule to accommodate Kasich or someone else. Paul Ryan, perhaps. How do you stand on that?
Well, 40B needs to be changed. And Morton has been fighting that fight for the last 4 years,
yes.
And they've been trying to change it. And I stand with Morton that it definitely needs to be changed. But I will say here today that you don't change it in the middle of the process. The game has been set. In the middle of a baseball game, you don't change the rules in the middle of the game. So the game is already almost finished. We're halfway through the primary process, so you don't change the rules in the middle of the process. We need to get through this process. The nomination is almost upon us, and we'll go and change the rules so that in 2020 we have a level playing field so that those that are running will know what the rules are going into it.
Okay, so you would be in favor of changing the rules after 2016, but Rule 40B that was changed to accommodate Romney in 2012, so our listeners understand, because this is a big deal right now. That rule says in order for a candidate's name to be put in nomination on the floor of the National Convention in 2016 and 2012, that candidate would have to win a majority of delegates in 8 states. There's only two candidates that are going to meet that classification, Trump and Cruz. That means that talk about Kasich or Ryan or this one or that one's out the window, because if you don't change it, they can't even be put in nomination. So what you're saying is that's it. Those are the rules, and we should stick by them for now, right?
That's correct.
All right. I think that makes a lot of sense. I got a couple more minutes. We're with Suzanne Obenshain. Are there any other rules that you would be in favor of changing on the national level?
At this juncture, I don't want to be approaching changing rules. I'm about winning elections in Virginia. We need to be focused exclusively on winning the White House in 2016. And so I want to do my primary focus of building alliances with independents, conservative Democrats, in order to win Virginia to be a red state again. And that's why I'm running for National Committee Woman. I want to focus on coming out of Cleveland unified behind our nominee to make sure that we win back the White House. I will be the National Committee Woman, and I will make sure that we are building those alliances to lock arms to bring all Republicans, independents, and conservative Democrats to win the White House back, and then I'll focus on making changes at the RNC. We have such a short window between July and November. I will be focused exclusively on winning the White House, and then I will go and tackle the big job of other issues at the National Committee level. There's lots to be done, but we have to win the election first, and then I will turn my focus on the 2017 election, which is going to be crucial for Virginia, and the rules of the National Committee will be a priority.
So I think Trump is going to be the nominee. If he is, do you think he could carry Virginia?
Absolutely. I think that whoever our nominee, whether it's Trump or Cruz, I believe that we will be united behind them, and I will give 150% crisscrossing Virginia, making sure that we are united behind. My late father-in-law was a master at unifying and building the alliances in the late 70s, and I want to be that unifier and help bring those folks together to do that again. That's why I stepped into the race when I was encouraged when we learned that Kathy was not going to run again. And I believe that I can be a force in Virginia to do that again.
All right. That is Suzanne Obenshain. She is a candidate for National Committee Woman from Virginia. You want more information, you can go right to her Facebook page, Suzanne Obenshain. She has a website as well. Suzanne, thanks for being with us. Happy Good Friday. Happy Easter. And my best to your family. Appreciate your getting up early to be with us. Thank you so much.